The studio lights burned bright. Cameras from over 50 networks zoomed in on the grand debate stage in New York City. Flags from around the world hung behind the podiums. It was the Global Leadership Forum, a live event meant to discuss world peace, trade, and development. Among the leaders stood U.S. President Donald Trump, already known for his sharp tongue. On the opposite side stood Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the young, composed leader of Burkina Faso, calm, focused, and deeply respected by many. The air was thick with tension as the moderator asked a simple question. How can global powers better support African nations? Trump leaned into his mic, scoffing. Well, maybe if some of these leaders weren't busy playing soldier in the jungle, they'd actually run a country. The crowd gasped. Laughter from a few corners. Then dead silence. Cameras turned to Traoré. His eyes didn't blink. He slowly leaned forward and calmly said, "Say that again." The room went still. The world stopped breathing. The moderator, startled, looked between them. Trump raised an eyebrow, slightly amused. "What? I said what I said," he replied smugly. Then louder, mocking Ibrahim's accent. "Maybe if jungle soldiers put on suits, they'd understand leadership." A chill swept through the studio, but Ibrahim didn't flinch. He didn't shout. He didn't blink. He removed his earpiece slowly, laid it on the podium. He then looked directly at Trump and said, "I fought to protect my people when the West abandoned us. While you were tweeting from a golden tower, I was burying children after drone strikes and hunger." The audience went silent again. You could hear a pin drop. "So yes, Mr. Trump," Traore continued, "I wore camouflage, not for fashion, but to stop children from dying." A woman in the audience covered her mouth. Tears welled up. The camera cut to Trump. He looked uncomfortable, but masked it with a grin. But Traore wasn't finished. "You called me a jungle soldier. Let me show you what a jungle soldier knows that you don't." Ibrahim's voice didn't rise. He didn't attack. He told the truth. In 2018, a U.S. drone strike missed its target and killed 6 children in our village. We didn't get an apology. We didn't even get acknowledgement. The crowd was stunned. I had to explain to their mothers why their sons would never come home. I stood in mud, holding lifeless bodies, while foreign reporters asked for sound bites. The screen behind him lit up. Real photos of children, of women wailing, of funerals. The moderator didn't know what to say. "And you, Mr. Trump, want to mock that? You want to laugh?" Trump's grin faded. Traoré stepped forward. "Say it again. Say it loud. Say it in front of the mothers watching this from Ouagadougou. In front of the soldiers who gave their lives so their people could live." The studio was frozen. A man in the front row lowered his head, quietly crying. Ibrahim's final words echoed. "Mocking pain isn't strength, it's cowardice." And then, for the first time that night, Trump was silent. Ibrahim Traoré stood still as the screen behind him flickered to a single photo, the face of a boy, barefoot, dust on his cheek, bright eyes, frozen in time. "His name was Musa," Ibrahim said softly. The audience leaned in. Even the loudest pundits fell quiet. He was only 8, loved drawing in the sand with a stick, wanted to become a teacher. Ibrahim paused. A drone strike ended that dream. No music played, no graphics moved, just silence. Real, painful silence. "He was playing with his sister when it happened," Ibrahim continued, voice steady. "They found her too, still holding his hand." A woman in the crowd began to cry, quietly, then another. "And you call that playing soldier in the jungle?" he asked Trump, eyes still locked. Trump shifted in his seat, but there was nowhere to run. "I'm here," Ibrahim said, "because children like Musa can't be." The lights dimmed on the photo. The world saw not a general, not a politician, but a man carrying stories no one else would tell. And suddenly, the joke didn't seem funny anymore. The mood in the studio had changed. Something heavy hung in the air now. Grief, guilt, truth. Trump cleared his throat and tried to pivot. "Look, I didn't mean it like that," he muttered. "It's just, look at the state of your country." Ibrahim turned to him slowly. "What state is that, Mr. Trump?" he asked. "The one where we rebuild our homes with no help? Where mothers grind stones just to pretend they're cooking, so their kids sleep without crying from hunger?" Gasps echoed in the room. "You think leadership is about power, but it's about pain," Traore said. "Pain you choose to ignore." A soft murmur moved through the audience. Even the moderator avoided eye contact. "While you built walls, we built graves. While you tweeted insults, we stitched wounds." Then, unexpectedly, Ibrahim walked down from the stage. Cameras followed him as he approached a woman in the front row. She stood slowly. Her face was worn, her scarf trembling. "This is Musa's mother," he said gently. "She buried her child with her own hands, and she flew here today, just to listen." The room stood still, and then people began to cry. The woman, fragile, trembling, no translator beside her, stepped to the mic. Her voice was soft, broken, but clear. "Musa used to sing before bed," she whispered. "I still hear his voice when I sleep." Every eye in the room was wet. Even the cameramen had stopped panning. She continued. "When I got the call, they said my son had been mistaken for a threat, but he only carried a stone. Not a weapon. A stone." The camera zoomed in on her face, lined with grief. "The world forgot him," she said, looking at no one. But Captain Traore did not. Ibrahim stood beside her unmoved, a shield. "I do not come here to fight," she added. "But if my pain is your joke, then I fear for the world." Trump had no words. No one did. She turned to Ibrahim, nodded gently, and whispered in their language, "Don't stop. Tell them everything." And with that, the tide shifted. This wasn't a debate anymore. It was a reckoning. The air inside the studio felt heavier now, almost suffocating. After Musa's mother's heartbreaking words, no one dared speak. Cameras focused on Trump, searching for a reaction. But the former president, for once, was silent. His usual bravado had vanished like a flicker in the wind. Ibrahim stood quietly, hands folded, eyes calm but piercing. The audience wasn't just watching a debate anymore. They were witnessing history unfold. Suddenly, the moderator broke the silence. "Mr. Trump, do you wish to respond?" The room held its breath. Trump looked down, then back up, a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. I didn't intend to offend," he muttered, but the words felt hollow. The world knew better. Ibrahim took a step forward and said softly yet firmly, "Intent does not erase impact." There was a murmur of agreement. The mother wiped a tear from her cheek, clutching her son's picture close. In that moment, the room understood. This was more than politics. This was about justice. Ibrahim's voice softened, as if telling a bedtime story, but the story was anything but gentle. "When I was young, we had no shoes, no books, just hope." The screen behind him showed a dusty village in Burkina Faso, children playing barefoot, women carrying water from miles away. "I lost my father to violence. Our village was attacked not once, but twice. We buried friends and family in unmarked graves." The crowd's eyes grew wider. Some viewers at home began to cry. "I joined the army because I wanted to protect my people. Not to conquer, but to defend. To give them a chance to dream again." Ibrahim looked directly into the camera. "My uniform is a symbol of sacrifice, not shame." The debate had turned into a story of courage against all odds. Trump's smug expression faded as he realized this was no ordinary opponent. Suddenly, Ibrahim raised his hand, motioning for quiet. "Mr. Trump," he said, voice steady and clear, "you insulted me, my country, and my people. But I'm here to ask you something more important. What have you done for the forgotten?" The audience was spellbound. "While you were building towers, we were rebuilding homes destroyed by conflict. While you tweeted insults, mothers buried their children." Tears streamed down many faces in the studio. "Your words carry power, Mr. Trump, but power must come with responsibility." Ibrahim's gaze burned like fire. "If you truly want to lead, start by listening, start by learning." The studio erupted in applause. Even some of Trump's supporters looked shaken. Trump opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. The moment was frozen in time. The applause faded slowly. The room was heavy with silence once again, but it felt different now, deeper. Everyone realized this wasn't just a clash of words, but a battle of truths. Trump looked around, searching for support, but found only eyes fixed on Traore. The former president's usual confidence was cracked. He tapped his fingers nervously on the podium. Ibrahim, calm and steady, took a breath. "Mr. Trump," he said softly, "you stand here with your towers and wealth, but millions in my country sleep hungry, scared of bombs they never started." The camera zoomed in on his face, serene but powerful. "You mock us for wearing uniforms. But my uniform is the shield that protects the innocent. Women, children, elders." Some viewers at home wiped their eyes. Leadership isn't about insults or tweets. It's about sacrifice. The moderator tried to regain control, but no one could interrupt this moment. Ibrahim's voice lowered but grew more intense. "You see, few understand what it means to fight for your people every day." He paused as the screen showed grainy footage of dusty roads, battered villages, and tired soldiers. "Each morning, I wake up knowing my people could be attacked again. I carry their fear, their hope, their dreams." The room was silent except for the soft sounds of quiet sobbing. "You speak of jungle soldiers, but you do not see the faces behind those words. Faces of mothers who lost sons, children who lost fathers." Ibrahim's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I don't wear camouflage because I want to look tough. I wear it because I chose to protect those who cannot protect themselves." The weight of his words settled like a stone in everyone's hearts. Suddenly, Ibrahim's voice rose, clear and unwavering. "So I ask you again, Mr. Trump, say your insult. Say it out loud. But know this, my people will not be mocked. My people will not be forgotten." Trump looked visibly shaken. The cameras caught every second as he opened his mouth, hesitated, then repeated, louder and slower, the same cutting words. "Jungle soldiers." The studio fell into stunned silence. Ibrahim stepped forward, pointing at Trump with quiet fire. "You say it like it's a joke. But for us, it's real. It's our lives. It's our sacrifice." Tears welled up in the eyes of many watching worldwide. "Today, I am not just a captain. I am every mother, every child, every soul fighting for dignity." Trump's expression froze. The moment was electric. The world was watching. The studio was frozen, the tension crackling like electricity. Every eye was locked on the two leaders, one calm and steady, the other rattled and searching for words. The world was watching live, millions across continents holding their breath. Suddenly, Ibrahim spoke again, his voice soft but filled with conviction. "This moment is bigger than us. It is about respect, dignity, and truth." He looked beyond Trump, his gaze reaching the viewers at home. "We African leaders fight not for glory but for survival, for our children's future." Trump's lips parted, but no reply came. A ripple of applause broke out, slow but growing. People were moved, seeing the courage behind Ibrahim's calm. "I do not want to humiliate anyone," Ibrahim said. "I want the world to understand the cost of words and the price of silence." The mother in the crowd wiped her tears, while the studio felt transformed, from a battlefield of insults to a stage of raw humanity. Ibrahim's eyes softened as he shared a story few had heard. "When I was a boy, my village was attacked at night. My family fled into the dark forest, running for hours. My mother held me tight, whispering prayers." The screen showed a blurred photo of a young boy, Ibrahim himself. "We lived in the jungle, hiding from violence that the world turned away from." He took a deep breath. "That boy grew up to wear this uniform not because he wanted war, but because he wanted peace." The crowd was silent again. Even Trump looked caught off guard by the vulnerability. "So, when I hear insults about jungle soldiers, I remember that scared child, and I carry his hope for a better tomorrow." The studio felt like a cathedral, filled with reverence and tears. Ibrahim looked directly at Trump, voice unwavering. "Mr. Trump, power without empathy is empty. You mocked me, but I represent millions who endure hardship silently." He paused, letting the weight settle. "While your words aim to divide, my people work tirelessly to unite." The cameras caught the reactions, some nodding, others speechless. Leadership means lifting others, not tearing them down. He pointed gently to the audience. The strength of a leader lies in compassion, courage, and truth, not insults. Trump's face was pale. The former president opened his mouth, closed it, unable to respond. The moment had come, the turning point the world would never forget. The studio erupted in applause, some standing, many wiping tears. The debate was over. A new chapter had begun. As the studio lights dimmed, millions around the world sat glued to their screens. Social media exploded. Clips of Ibrahim's words flooded timelines, sparking debates, tears, and hope. News anchors replayed the moment where Ibrahim stared down Trump, demanding respect. Hashtags like "Respect for Ibrahim" and "Say that again" trended worldwide. In villages across Africa, people gathered to watch their leader, proud and unshaken. Ibrahim's words became a symbol of courage, truth, and resilience. Meanwhile, the old powers faced a new reality. They couldn't ignore the voice of a man who stood for millions unheard. Back in the studio, the debate was over, but the impact was just beginning. Trump's usual bravado had cracked. He avoided eye contact as journalists dissected every word. Ibrahim, calm as ever, addressed the crowd one last time. "This isn't about one man or one insult. It's about dignity for all." He called for unity, for the world to listen to voices often drowned out. Tears streamed down the faces of many in the audience. This was a victory not just for Ibrahim, but for anyone who ever felt ignored or insulted. In a final moment of quiet strength, Ibrahim said, "Words can hurt, or they can heal. I choose to heal." The cameras captured the applause, genuine, heartfelt, unstoppable. The world saw a leader who didn't need to shout or fight. His strength was in his truth, his courage, his heart. And as the clip went viral, millions felt the weight of his message. This was a story of hope, respect, and change. If this story moved you, if Ibrahim's courage touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and comment below. Tell us what moment made you feel the most. Share your thoughts, your tears, your hope. Your voice matters just as much. Together, let's spread truth and respect around the world. Thank you for watching.